All right, we are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Go Tech Space hosted by House of ZK. My name is Alice. I am a host at House of ZK. We're joined here today with Brett, who is growth lead at GOAT. So just as some context for the space, House of ZK recently came out with a report focusing on GOAT, and today's space will be diving into all of GOAT's latest developments, including new community campaigns, GOAT's alpha mainnet launch, and how users can get involved. So very exciting time for GOAT, and really excited to hear about all the new developments, how community members can get involved, and what your predictions are for what's going to happen next. So thank you so much, Brett, for joining.
No, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I attended the House of ZK event in Denver, which is an awesome event.
Oh,
So really
thank you.
excited you guys invited me to kind of speak today and, talk about Go Network.
Yeah, very excited. I'm wondering, Brett, if we can first start off with like an introduction of yourself. So, how you got involved in this space, and then also focus on the Bitcoin ecosystem and what led you to join GOAT.
Sure. So I'm Bro Wags. I lead growth at Go Network. I've been in Bitcoin for a while, actually. I remember kind of being in college and people talking about this crazy idea where, you could mine money and everyone's sitting there talking around this new idea of Bitcoin, and it's just crazy how this space has evolved. So I've been in it for a while. I was working in the Ethereum ecosystem at a different project for a little while, and then had the opportunity to come and lead the growth side of Goat. And for the last 18 months, this is kind of what I've been heads down focused on.
Nice, and really great to hear that you've had experience in different kinds of ecosystems. So with the Ethereum ecosystem and now focusing on Bitcoin. Also wanted to hear some more about some of the uh, origin stories behind Goat. So what was the intention for the team behind developing Goat? How does Goat differ from existing Bitcoin L2s in the market? And also wanted to hear if there are any kinds of particular challenges with the development of these existing Bitcoin L2s, if it relates to, say, on the security side or with programmability, with just the user experience, censorship resistance. Wondering if any of these challenges are being specifically addressed with Go.
So I think the first challenge, is a lot of people see Bitcoin as kind of the store of value, like they do gold. And what we've learned through this experience is that a lot of people really want to keep it in their hardware wallet, not earn a yield, not do much with it. They just want to, set it, forget it, and hope it goes up for the next 25 years. Um, so what we're really trying to solve is how to create yield with Bitcoin. Right now there's really two ways on how you can do it. You can either mine it or you can trade it. We think we're almost a disruptor in this space where what we can do is create sustainable yield from Bitcoin. Our decentralized sequencer technology is special where, you can stake your Bitcoin into the sequencer and then from there, earn yield. I'm a big proponent of if you don't know exactly where your yield's coming from, you are the yield. So, what we've done is created a transparent way in order for people to see how they can earn yield, on their Bitcoin.
Awesome. And I just wanted to dive a bit deeper into the decentralized sequencers as well, which, to my knowledge, is very unique to GOAT that some other Bitcoin L2s in the ecosystem haven't quite adopted this kind of model yet. So you mentioned that some of the benefits come with like a transparent way in order to earn yield for users, but also curious to hear if there are any other sorts of advantages that this decentralized sequencer model can provide in terms of, say, liveness guarantees or say censorship resistance.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and if there are any like kinds of limitations or any kinds of drawbacks that come with this compared to traditional models using centralized sequencers.
yeah, I think you hit it nail on the head. There is a censorship, I would say, issue with other L2s, and even Bitcoin. They're all run off one centralized sequencer. From that allows, one entity to either shut down the network or, a government to come in and say, oh, you're done. The way that we've set the ecosystem up is, it really um, is decentralized and allows, not one entity to be able to stop it.
Mhm, absolutely. Mhm.
No, I was just going to say that also, I think for security purposes, that's major because, you know, if somebody decides to come in and shut down the network, your funds are gone. Where, in a decentralized way, what we've created is, a way for people to feel secure by using their Bitcoin.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And having that kind of security guarantee is especially really important for all those users who are, say, holding anything on the network. So really great how we're kind of incorporating these kinds of new models to help with that security guarantee, to help with the trust minimization as well. So that's great to hear. And I know that's something that Goat really emphasizes on is being the people's coins platform. So I'm wondering if you can speak a bit more about this, what this means to you, what are its implications, like what does it really mean in practice? And also wanted to hear some more about how Goat really redefines the use of these people's coins with Doge, with Bitcoin, and give these assets new utility. You mentioned previously before that traditionally a lot of Bitcoin holders like to use it as a kind of store of value, just put it in their hardware wallet, have it sit there. But wanted to hear more about what this means in terms of providing new utility for this people coins focused platform.
Yeah, in the market research that we did, we found that a lot of people were looking for a way to create yield on Dogecoin as well. It's forked from Bitcoin, so it really has the same utility that you can only really buy, sell, or mine. So, our goal is to really focus on Bitcoin, but allow, quote unquote, the people's coins, which is Dogecoin, which could be, something else in the future, to be allowed to be staked in the sequencer for how, you can earn sustainable yield. I realized I didn't really speak towards how the yield's generated. So, in a transparent way, you stake your Bitcoin in the sequencer. All the fees, all the transactions on network take a fee, and then all those fees are given back to the stakers. So it's a really kind of flywheel of you stake your Bitcoin, transactions happen, fees are collected, it's given back to you. All transparent. People can do calculations to figure out what the yield is going to be based on TPS, things like that.
Got it. And really liked that kind of flywheel effect that you mentioned there as well. And just wondering about any other sorts of yield generating strategies that are available for these Bitcoin and Doge holders that were previously not possible in, say, existing models. Just on this topic for how yield is generated, you explained the process with the flywheel effect, but wondering how Goat's able to generate this kind of sustainable, say, Bitcoin yield for users, how it differs from any other sort of existing short-term incentive models that currently are in the market.
Yeah. So a lot of different incentive models are great, but a lot of times it's paid in, a project token or things like that. The nice thing about our model is that, it's paid in Bitcoin. The majority is paid in Bitcoin or Dogecoin, where, other models differ a little bit from that. Um, Additionally, I would say that we're almost creating a new model here because you have to have the decentralized sequencer in order to, kind of create the flywheel. As if you don't have kind of the sequencer collecting those transaction fees, a place for people to stake, then you don't really have, all the tools in order to create that sustainable yield.
Mhm, got it. And just in terms of some long-term visions that the GOAT team has in terms of the BTC-Fi economy and also the meme-Fi economy. So I'm wondering about your personal take on how you see both economies evolving and how you see GOAT's role in it as well.
So, I think what we are trying to set out is to be a disruptor within the BTC Fi space. Um, you know, there's a lot of options and a lot of chains that are coming out. But when we take a look, 10 years down the road, our goal is, to make sure that we're still providing a sustainable yield. In terms of a meme fine economy, Doge is a great starting point for us, right? That it has a big community. People are really excited about the addition of that. I think that we see new memes every day. I was reading something the other day that like 40,000 tokens are created on Solana every single day, which is crazy. But, we don't want to just limit ourselves to one meme coin, right? If there becomes something bigger than Doge and, is decentralized and, doesn't have one central holder, our goal would be to add it. That's the great thing kind of about these sequencers is, in order to create security, you could add, more coins into the sequencer in order to help secure the network.
And really liked that flexibility portion that you mentioned as well, like how we can incorporate different other kinds of coins to be used. As you mentioned, we don't really want to limit ourselves to just having the option for one meme coin, but instead, in the future, if there are any others that are dominant, that this can be incorporated in this kind of multi-coin model that you mentioned. So that's really great to hear. And I also wanted to go into some more details about some of the campaigns that are currently available for users and how anyone in the audience who's interested can get involved. So I wanted to ask a bit about the One Piece project. And from what I'm aware, it was launched right before Goat's mainnet launch. And I wanted to hear more about the intention behind introducing this project and what it enables users to do.
So our intention was really to help create a sustainable, vibrant community. I would say that what we do, that's the forefront of a lot of our decisions. Is we really try and make sure that community is first. So we introduced One Piece right after we went mainnet live about 2 weeks ago. So we are a very new network in our alpha mainnet stage. But basically, what the One Piece campaign does is really incentivizes transactions and users on network. The more that users are able to use the network, the more rewards that they will be given in the future.
And wanted to also ask about some of the specific types of rewards that are available. From my understanding, there's a kind of gamified aspect with the One Piece project, and users are able to also incorporate these soulbound NFTs. So wondering about the role that these soulbound NFTs have and any other kinds of reward mechanisms or incentives that users can have when participating in this project.
Yeah. So, I think we've seen, and, if you've been in crypto for more than a few weeks, you realize that everybody's doing points. And at the end of that, they do an airdrop of 1% of their token. And then everyone on Twitter, gets angry and tweets mean things to them. So what our goal, is that we want to do something different than points. We think the points meta, and our co-founder wrote a piece on how he believes the points meta is dead, and how there needs to be kind of another incorporation of something else to really gamify. So what we're doing, and you said it correctly. We've done our first soulbound NFT that you can mint on our One Piece page. That and little alpha. We'll get some rewards once we have a token one day. But that's kind of the first piece of this One Piece project. There'll be other NFTs for people to collect. There'll be other activities such as some lucky draws, some things like that to really keep users engaged, and to really give community rewards, because community really does come first in our eyes.
Mhm. Yeah, that all sounds great. And also wanted to, when I was looking into the One Piece project, I saw that there were a few different kinds of avenues in which users can earn these incentives. There's these GOAT points, and then also GOAT energy cubes, from my understanding. So wondering if you can speak about some of the differences between them and how users can go about with earning them.
Yeah, so users can earn points by participating in DApps on our network. I have realized I really haven't talked about our DApps. So we have Oku right now, which is a Uniswap team who is being given the green light to deploy official Uniswap onto chains. We have GoatSwap, which is our canonical DEX. We also have Artemis, who is a LST provider. So you can mint your BTC for Artemis BTC and earn yield for doing that. So those are some ways that you can earn points. By earning the energy cubes, it's basically a multiplier on your points. So once you start earning points, once you start earning cubes, the more points you have in the end, you get something.
Got it. So users can initially earn those points by kind of interacting with these dApps, and then those energy cubes are multipliers of those points. Got it. And from my understanding, this was all from season 1 of this One Piece project. Are there any kinds of future seasons that the GOAT team is planning on making for users, and what users can expect for anything in the future?
Yeah, so we'll be having a few seasons of this. This is just the original phase. Something that will also earn some points upcoming is our Happy Birthday NFT campaign. That'll start, and I believe it will be minted in about 3 days. Users can earn points from that. But this is season 1 of hopefully many seasons where we keep giving users rewards for interacting with our chain.
Got it. And in addition to this One Piece project, are there any other kinds of programs and campaigns that are currently available for users? Like, for example, I know that there's a pre-deposit available with StakeStone for anyone who wants to do some initial staking. But are there any other sorts of campaigns in which are currently available for users, or anything specific that users should participate in depending on like what they're looking for or their needs? Just anything else that is going on at the moment?
Yeah, so we have a collaboration with StakeStone right now. We have a BTCB and Doge B vault. Users are able to stake in there and earn some nice yield for staking into that vault. Additionally, we have a BTC vault with Artemis where people can mint Art BTC and earn yield, just for minting at this time.
Okay, got it. And I also wanted to transition a bit into some more details about the Alpha Mainnet launch, which was a very big announcement quite recently. So curious to hear what sort of features both users and developers can expect on Mainnet, what this entails, and also from the team side, if there are any sort of goals that the GOAT team has with regards to this recent mainnet launch, like what you would like to see, or any kinds of feedback that you'd like to get from users. Just wondering about first, any sort of main features that users can anticipate or expect from this mainnet launch, and then also some of the goals that the GOAT team has.
Yeah, I would say that our goal is as many transactions as possible. Right, the more transactions that happen on a network, the more sustainable yield that we're able to pass on to, sequencer stakers. So, my goal is 1 million transactions a day. If hopefully we get there. In terms of feedback, I think feedback's been really well received for our launch. The chain is very fast, very cheap. I think it's very user friendly. Something that our co-founder really puts an emphasis on is user experience. If you don't have a great user experience for users to use the chain, nobody's going to use it. So, the ease of being able to bridge through layer 0 Stargate, the gas fees that are very cheap, for users to transact, the, reliability of dApps on chain, all those things really push to a good user experience, which is, a focus of ours.
Yeah, that's really great to hear, because one of the main kinds of challenges that we're hearing a lot about in just the Bitcoin L2 space is how we can really optimize for that user experience, and how we can replicate as smooth of, say, like an onboarding for developers and users, and then also the actual use of the application as, say, smooth as some Ethereum applications that currently exist. So really great how the team is focused on providing as much of an optimal experience for the users. And then also wanted to hear about how you saw the evolution of GOAT networks environments as it transitioned to mainnet, or any kinds of its previous versions as it transitioned to mainnet. So throughout this kind of development process, what features and functionalities that you saw in previous, that you experimented and with previous versions were prioritized for mainnet. Just wanted to hear more about the evolution leading to this mainnet launch.
No, absolutely. And I think, evolution is important, right? Like, I think there's always an idea, but, how you iterate on that and kind of bring that to the use case is the most important part. It's funny, the way that we came to this, was through a universal roll up. The goal originally was to be the end goal for fragmented liquidity. Our team is still working towards that, but you know, ending fragmented liquidity is great, but you need a use case for it. So our use case is really, a Bitcoin L2 to hopefully create that flywheel where, BTC first and then, connecting to other chains where we could really end that fragmented liquidity. Um, that is still one of the pain points in this space and, why many people don't use a lot of chains because they can't figure out how to get in and out of it. We've unfortunately seen many bridge hacks. Users lose funds because of that. Once we stop and have the universal roll up, hopefully some of those pain points will be, um, you know, marginalized.
Yeah, absolutely. And really love how you guys have stuck consistently to that vision. And as you mentioned, built a specific use case, which in this case is the Bitcoin L2 to solve that end goal for fragmented liquidity. And then also in regards to any sorts of new applications and for use cases specifically within the Go ecosystem, you mentioned the launch of some of the dApps that are currently being built, like with Goat Swap, with Artemis, like with Oku Trade. I'm curious to hear about any sort of additional or new use cases and applications that you would like to see being built on Goat, or if there are any that you think of as most promising that are in the works for development.
Yeah, I'm really excited that Stablejack will be joining us. It's a leverage volatility points trading app. They're very kind of prevalent on Avalanche, and we're really excited that they'll be joining us very soon. We also have some gaming projects that are interested in building with us because gas fees are very cheap, we're very fast. It's almost a perfect gaming experience. So we have GrowFitter that just went live. We're going to have a Goat Rocket game. We also have a Go game as well as I believe Goat Satoshi AI. So we have a lot of good builders that are building, because they realize how cheap and kind of fast the chain is, which is great for onboarding new projects.
Awesome. And yeah, it's really great to hear that these applications and use cases extend behind, say that those in traditional DeFi and then also to the gaming sphere as well. So really excited to see kind of the breadth of these applications. And then I also wanted to scope out a bit and just focus on Goat's long-term vision and any kinds of next steps that audience members can expect. How do you see Goat evolving in the next few years in terms of its first main vision in becoming the People's Coins platform, but then also in its main vision of solving that fragmented liquidity issue? So as the Bitcoin ecosystem evolves, we're seeing like lots of developments being made in terms of addressing Bitcoin's programmability and extending its number of use cases and applications. How do you see Goat evolving alongside it?
Our team I think is really hard at work working through a BitVM2 solution. Hopefully we'll have that in the next few weeks. We're going to open source it. We're going to, allow everybody to kind of see our vision and the way that we constructed it, which is, really exciting. I think in 5 or 10 years, our team's goal is to really have a Bitcoin ecosystem where, people are earning double-digit Bitcoin yield, just for staking your Bitcoin. Um, you know, there's been so many times where people have said, oh man, like I wish, I could stake Bitcoin somewhere and, earn yield from doing it. Well, there's your chance. Um, you know, it's also paid in Bitcoin where, the value of Bitcoin, right? You can't really judge, some other project tokens, but you know exactly what Bitcoin is worth. So that's really exciting to us.
Yeah, awesome. And also wanted to hear more about some of the next steps in the roadmap. So what does the roadmap look like for Go after this Alpha Mainnet launch? Are there any kinds of milestones that anyone in the audience should look out for?
Um, I would say that our BitVM2 solution is something that we're working on. We're also working on our own vault. Um, you know, we're keeping that kind of close to the vest, so more information will be out soon around that. But we're really excited about that product that we're launching. In terms of next steps, I would definitely say to keep using Goat Network because it'll be worth it to users who really try out different dApps and participate in one piece.
Awesome, nice. And also wanted to hear just from like everyone in the audience, what kind of feedback are you seeing from either early users or have seen from users interacting with previous versions of the network? And how has that shaped Goat's priorities post-launch?
I think it's been really positive. When we launched Alpha Mainnet, I was nervous. You just never know what you're going to get when you launch a network. But so far, kind of the throughput's been great. The user experience has been great. Users have really been able to try out different dApps. Participate in different things going on in the ecosystem pretty smoothly. I would say if you haven't tried Goat yet, try it because it's a very smooth and easy user experience to onboard yourself to.
Yeah, awesome. And just as a last question before we close today's session, are there any types of advice that you have for the audience or main takeaways that you want to emphasize or any other sorts of announcements that you'd like to highlight?
Um, I know the market's been rough recently. I would say hang in there. you know, it's been probably one of the worst 3 month stretches that I've seen in a long time. But knock on wood, the market has always bounced back, and hopefully we'll continue to do that. I think this is the time where teams really, who are dedicated builders, really do their best work. Because then when kind of the market's going up, people release new products, people release their new ideas that they've been working on, which is where we really see innovation. Our team is hard at work, heads down, kind of executing on these things. So that way, when the market does pick up, we'll have things for users to do.
Awesome. Yeah, and thank you so much, Brett, for all of this, and really enjoyed hearing about first Goat's value proposition and then all of the different community campaigns and incentive campaigns that you have going on for users. And also really enjoyed hearing about the vision behind Goat as well, with its goal of addressing fragmented liquidity with becoming the people's coins platform. And it's really great to also hear that anyone can participate. This isn't just reserved for, say, like major Bitcoin holders or major like
Right.
Dogecoin
You
holders.
can
But
have
anyone,
$20 in Bitcoin, and you can come to our network. You can have $5 in Bitcoin. You can come to our network. We are really open to everybody and allow anybody who has even $2 worth of Bitcoin to stake into the sequencer and earn yield. This isn't for the top 1%. This is for everybody.
yeah, absolutely. And that's really awesome to hear. So thank you so much, Brett. And yeah, I hope to see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.